Hello. Uh, Hi, I'm Ben Stiller, and I'd like to introduce the man who made this movie, Ryan Coogler. Yeah, man. Wow. It's great to be here to talk to you about this. I'm this movie. Man, I'm like a little bit nervous because I don't know how to talk to you about this movie because there's so much going on in it that I feel like it's like a really like this is like a really great movie because it operates on so many different levels that I don't even know where to begin. There's so many technical things I want to ask you about, but honestly, I think for me watching this movie, my experience of it the first time I watched the movie was I knew nothing about it. So I was kind of like my mind was a little bit blown by because I couldn't figure out like what is this? What is this movie? What is this genre? What is this story? But I was completely taken in by it, and I've seen it now 2.5 times. I caught the last hour tonight, and it just unfolds more and more every time you watch it. So I guess one of the first things I want to ask you is, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, but it's such a coming together of so many elements in terms of the music, the story, the themes, this the themes of it, but it's kind of seamless in the way it all comes together. What was your first impetus to make this movie? What was, and I know it's been with you a long time. Can you just talk about like what was the original idea of when we said I want to make this movie? What was it that made you want to make it?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. I think it's funny because I get to talk about the movie a lot, which is really awesome, and I get to talk to like really people I admire a lot. We were just talking about how much of your work I just love. So it's cool to be here with you, bro. And like I think the it was really like the convergence of a lot of shit, you know. The same way you were kind of describing it. The biggest one is my relationship with my uncle. My great uncle, James, was who I learned about blues music from. He was from Mississippi, and for a long time he was the oldest male member of my family. And I actually grew up in Oakland, and I moved to a city called Richmond. And right after my family moved to Richmond, my uncle James moved to Richmond. So he was like my other family in this new city that I was in. I used to walk to his house, and I would just sit with him when he was off from work and listen to blues records. You know what I mean? I didn't care about the music. I was just hanging out with my uncle, but I associated it with him. Started to found that I liked to make movies. Started chasing my dream. Moved to LA. Ended up going all over the country to shoot films. And my uncle got old and got sick. And he got diagnosed with terminal cancer while I was making Creed in 2015. And I would talk to him on the phone all the time, and he had such a like that old Southern work ethic. So he would just say, don't worry about me, man. Like, do your thing, work hard. He ended up passing away while I was in LA finishing the movie. And I never properly, reckoned with, my lack of presence during that time, and I think that it took me 10 years to really process it enough to to want to make a movie about our relationship. And I think at the crux of that, like a lot of the things that the film became about, like the Faustian bargain, right? You know what I mean? Like what's the cost of following your dreams? Because for me, when it came to my relationship with this man who was very important to me, it cost me a lot of time with him. That was very limited. You know what I'm saying? And what I would do after he died is I would play those old blues records whenever I was sad and wanted to think about him and wanted to contemplate. And all of a sudden, the music had like a new context. You know what I mean? Like I fell in love with it for what it was, and I began to understand it more as basically what hip hop was for me at the time that I was hanging out with my uncle. This was what the blues was for him, you know. And I'll find myself thinking, yo, when he's playing these records, who is he thinking about? You know what I mean? Who is his Uncle James? Who is his who put him onto this music? You know what I mean? And we were coming off the Writers Guild strike, the Screen Actors Guild strikes, the pandemic, you know, all of that stuff. And there was a time when I was just thinking to myself, man, I don't know if the business is going to exist, you know, like it was when I came up anymore. You know, whatever movie I make, it might be the last time I get to make a movie and put it in theaters. I hadn't really exposed to audiences how much I loved, you know, genre cinema, horror movies, and just surprising shit. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't done enough of it yet, even though I had made, you know, quite a few movies. So I was thinking I wanted to do something in that space, something that wasn't like a sequel or related to a franchise or a pre-existing story. And then one day I was at home with my wife and producer, my mom, my kids running around, and I was doing the dishes and listening to a blues playlist, you know, that I made for my uncle. And this song called Wang Dang Doodle came on in the kitchen speakers. And if y'all have ever heard that song, like for real, it's actually in the movie. But if you ever heard that song, it's about a group of crazy people getting a party together, you know, and they're gonna do it over the course of a day, you know. And I was listening to that, and I was like, oh shit, that's my next movie, you know. And then we, you know, got to work, pitched it to my wife a couple times. She didn't like the first pitch. Brought it back to her again. She was like, maybe. Brought it back to her again, and she was like, yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Can I ask you, when you say that's the movie, like how much of the movie did you see in your head in that moment?
I mean, quite a bit of it. Like, I mean, if you know, blues music is like super visual. You know what I mean? And yeah, the lyrics are like it's like call Automatic Slim, call Razor Toting Jim, tell Butcher Knife Toting Annie, tell Fast Talking Freddie, we gonna pitch a ball down at that Union Hall. We gonna fuss and fight till midnight. We gonna sweat till daylight. You know, like we gonna pitch a Wang Dang Doodle all night long. So it's like,
so you had the whole story, right?
Yeah, it's like all right, it's like getting all of these people together. They got these crazy nicknames, so they sound thugged out. You know what I mean? Like a butcher knife lady and a dude who got a razor. You know what I mean? And they talking about how they gonna just throw a razor like on that day. So in my mind, I'm like, oh wow, I can, like, you know, I'm obviously meeting up with all these characters. I'm in Mississippi. You know what I mean? It's and then I was like, oh, what'd be cool is if you get all these really tough people together, but then they meet something like fucking crazier than they are. You know what I mean? And they got to figure out what they're gonna do with it. That was kind of how it came. The twins and all of that stuff, it came later, but you know.
Yeah, because that feels to me like it's so much the emotional center of the movie is that brother relationship. I mean, it's crazy that Michael B. Jordan is playing two characters in this movie, because every time I watch, I just immediately forget it's one actor playing two characters, and I'm so invested in this relationship. And I mean, you guys obviously have a great connection. I mean, did you bring it to him early and say, like, do you guys talk about it? You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, cause I sat down. I know this is the DJ and not the WJ. So I get off the writing, maybe after this one, but I sat down with that idea of this party, and then it was like, yo, who's putting it together? You know what I mean? And that's kind of where the twins came in. And if you know anything about blues music, when you really start to study it, you know that there's this dichotomy with the blues and the church. You know, they kind of like the twins, the twin concept. You know what I mean? Like the so many of those blues guys came from church families and were ostracized, you know, because of the life they chose to live. So that's kind of where the Sammy character came. But you know, so much of me when I listen to blues music or when I think about my uncle is me kind of looking up. You know what I mean? Like sitting down, like literally like sitting at my uncle's feet and kind of like just staring up at him while he would tell a story. And I had these cousins that I came up under. They like Gen Xers, you know what I mean? Like
me.
Well, yeah. And you know, I looked up to them dearly, and I remember like riding around in a car with them, and sometimes it'd be like a cool ride, sometimes it'd be a dangerous ride, you know what I mean? But that feeling of like just how much I looked up to them and admired them, and that was kind of where the twins came from, you know, like and I realized like the movie should kind of have that situation where a character is looking at two guys like almost like they legends, but amongst the time of spending time with them, that kind of gets destroyed, if that makes sense.
Right. And then what about the idea for?
Oh, Mike, yeah, Mike. Soon as the twins came up, I knew it would be Mike. Right. Yeah, so I called him. He called me about about another movie, and I wasn't done writing the script yet, but he was hard pitching this other movie. So I was like, hey, bro, I got something for you that I'm gonna have like in another couple months, you know, and I need you to try to clear your schedule.
I'm sure I'm not the first person who's made the Scorsese De Niro, analogy, but I just watched the Scorsese documentary, and that's the way that those two guys would, like, one guy would come with I got this idea, I got this one. Let's, it seems like you guys have that.
Yeah, man. It's I'm not gonna stand in the DGA theater in New York City and compare myself to those, but it is nice when you work with somebody, you know what I mean, who you develop a shorthand with, who you understand both artistically, functionally, but also like as a human being, you care about them. You know what I'm saying? You've worked with Noah several times, like, and I can feel that understanding, like when, like, like I get it as a viewer, I get excited when I hear about y'all working together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in. You know what I mean? Because like I know that there's something there. I feel like you got something there with Downey as a director. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in when it's like, okay, these two, it's something.
Well, it's like a shared sort of I don't know, willing. I guess like you can give each other confidence to try things and to go for something, right?
And being around each other makes you brave. Right. You know what
right.
I mean? Like it's a
I mean, how do you just technical, like when you're doing those twin scenes?
Yeah.
How did you approach that?
Okay. So I got a great visual effects supervisor. His name's Michael Raleigh. He works with another guy named James Alexander. It's a super international movie too, because Raleigh's German, and James is British. But I started working with Raleigh on Black Panther 2. He was like the second VFX supervisor. And we wrote the script, we broke it down, we tried to storyboard as much as we could, and then they broke down our strategy into 3 different categories. And I kind of explain them in order of degrees of difficulty. So the first category is just the basic split screen. Yeah, it's actually 4 categories. One category is your over the shoulder, right? We casted a twin double, somebody who kind of looks like Mike and who's actually an actor who can stand across from him in scenes and take direction. Has a similar complexion, height, weight. Found a guy named Percy Bill down out of the South. He's from either Louisiana or Texas. I think Louisiana. And once we got him, we got costumes for Percy, costumes for Mike, and you can do the over the shoulder strategy, right? When you're only seeing one person's face, and nothing of the ear and hair that'll give them up. That's the easiest one, right? The second easiest is the split screen strategy, where it's a lock off camera. And one person can be on one side, you shoot that, jump around to the other one, the old Parent Trap vibes, right? And then the third degree of difficulty, which was our workhorse, was something called a techno dolly, which is essentially like a poor person's motion control rig. So it's a programmable, repeatable head, where you have the ability to do anything a crane wants to do within 12 feet. And you have a little bit of dolly track that you can run on too, and that would be for whenever we needed camera movement. Okay, so that's stitching 2 mics together. We still need to do 2 performances, but we would be able to move the camera. So that's the hero reveal of the twins. The first time that you see them, that's a techno dolly move, and what they're doing, everything's on time. And once we get one performance down for whoever our hero twin is for the day. And for Mike, it usually was whoever had to move the most, he would want to do first. and we would have to come to set, and he would have to predict what he was going to do as the other twin, and then kind of tell Percy, you know, I think I'm going to do this. I'll probably come over here. I'll probably squat down here, you know. And then Percy will say, okay. So then he'll go do it at stack. We'll do maybe 4 or 5 takes. Once we happy with a take, the techno dolly in the sound unit will record the timing and all of the lines. And sometimes ADR beeps for something like with the cigarette pass. There's a beep for when the first cigarette handoff takes place. So Mike would know, all right, beep, pass. He'll reach back and grab. You know, then it's like beep, light. He'll bend down and light it. You know what I mean? And it's like another beep and another pass, that kind of thing. Because we wanted the twins to be able to do things without looking at each other. Because that's how identical twins are. And then once we happy, we would flip it around, play back through the speakers of what the first twin was doing. And Mike would play the other role against, like, while looking at Percy, but hearing himself, if that makes sense. So that was the techno dolly version. And if there were other people in the scene, like a scene in The Door, for instance, where you got Woomy and Delroy and those guys behind, I also have to do another version without any twin. You know what I mean? So that when I'm comping Mike in, I still have them in the background, if that makes sense.
How do you juggle all this technical stuff in this movie? Because I know as a director, I know there's a lot of technical things going on here, but obviously as a filmmaker, you're trying to, you're making this movie that you have these ideas and this and all of it that's more important than the technical. Nobody's, right? Because you don't want people to think about the technical. No. So how do you do that when you're on set? Do you just is it just because you know it well enough that you can then focus on what you need, or you work with the right people, or how do you approach
it's that? Yeah. I got a lot of experience with VFX. Yeah. And I also got a lot of experience like hiring great people who know a lot more than me. Like, it's nice, you know how it is when you're directing. If you get the right people, you can a lot of times you can be like the dumbest person on set. You know
right. I mean? If you trust that they understand that you're going for the same thing, exactly. And then the methodology is what you
exactly
the right method. Right.
Exactly.
But with Ludwig,
yes, sir.
Who's a brilliant composer. I mean,
so that's how that's our biggest connection.
Yeah.
So your composer Teddy Shapiro, actually, when Ludwig came out of film school, helped Ludwig get his first green card. He hired him as his assistant. So
is he Icelandic?
He's from Sweden. He's from Sweden. But his dad's a Swedish blues musician, and that's how he became a musician.
There are Swedish blues musicians?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Ludwig's second generation Swedish blues guitarist. Yeah.
Yeah. The music is such a huge element. Did you produce all the music first? How did you create? And the scene, I just have to say the scene, the history of music, whatever. I don't know what that scene is called. What did you call that scene?
We call it the surreal montage.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. It blew my mind in the theater. I'm sorry.
Thank you, God.
Gives me chills thinking of it. Because for me, it's like, I was like, oh yeah, this is music. This is like this connection that I have with music. You were illustrating this connection with music, black music, the history of it, the future of it, the thematically in the movie, the idea of music being the stories in the music that Sammy, the devil, I think he's the devil, wants Sammy so bad. He wants that music, wants those stories. The music is just, it's everything. So how did you decide on that song, that sequence? When did that come up, that sequence?
Yeah. So it's a midpoint thing, right? Like when working on a film, I always like movies where you got a crazy midpoint where and how I was taught was the midpoint is where the movie transitions from the movie that you thought you were watching to the movie that you're actually watching, and
that's great. Shit, I wish I knew that before.
I mean, your movies got midpoints, bro.
I'll see. I gotta
stop it, bro. Oh man.
No, that's amazing. That's great. That's a great idea. That's kind of what happened, because that's where in the movie I'm going like, I have no idea what genre this movie, and also the first hour of the movie is not really a vampire movie. It's it's like it's setting up as a so like all of it is sort of so surprising, but in that moment it did transform into something that was like, okay, this. All bets are off here, and I'm getting hit on an emotional level that I don't even understand what it is.
Well, yeah. So while I was working on it, I realized that I kind of got halfway through the script. I had fallen in love with the characters, and it was time for Sammy to sing, and I realized that all these characters are gonna fucking die besides him, in like these horrible ways, and I was like, yo, I can't do this to these characters, and I can't do this to the audience without giving them like a victory moment, And it was like, man, how can I do it through film language? And I'm like, oh, there's vampires in this movie. We can do anything, So it became about just that feeling of being in a group, seeing a gifted artist perform, and being in a crowd that understands what's happening on like a metaphysical level, and how you can feel like outside of your body. You know what I mean? Like you can, and everybody, it's a very human experience. It happens. You know what I mean? Like, and people got phrases for it. Like in like a lot of times fire is referenced. Like, hey, we burned that place down, or the roof is on fire. You know what I mean? Or like, you
don't need no water.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Or when you seeing a basketball player who can't miss for like 5 straight minutes, you say like, man, he's on fire. That idea for me was like, maybe that's the ancestors, you know what I mean, that are there partying with you, you know what I mean. You can't see them, but you feel them, you know what I mean. And that was like, we can give these people who were born in the 30s, whose parents were sharecroppers, whose grandparents were enslaved, whose kids and grandkids will probably still be sharecroppers, you know what I mean. They in this. They had this luck to be born black at this time in this place, but the art that they made changed the trajectory of popular culture in such a crazy way. But they would never live to see that. You know what I mean? Like for them, they just trying to have a good time, like at the end of the week. You know what I mean? They didn't know that what they were listening to was going to change everything. You know what I mean? They didn't know that the music would be so impactful that somebody in Sweden was going to like want to learn how to dedicate their life to the craft. You know what I'm saying? Like they was just trying to like get their fucking mind off of cotton for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? And remind themselves that they were human. So for me, I was like, what if this is our opportunity to do something, unique and special, and it was like, that's why this vampire. That's what he wants. You know what I mean? He wants that experience. He wants that feeling again.
I feel like he recognizes what that music. I mean, he recognizes.
Yeah, so how he played it. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. So this is like this was really fun actually. How he played it was, and the actors would get so upset with me because imagine like Mike or Haley or Wumi. They like, yo, we want to watch these dancers because all of these crazy dancers came in at that our choreographer and our casting directors like found. So they coming in these crazy costumes, like Zouali dancers from the Ivory Coast and Alvin and Ailey, like ballerinas, coming in and like doing all this stuff. But the thing was, while they were in the take, they couldn't see the ancestors. That their eyes either had to be closed or they had to be, focused on whoever they were dancing with. Because it wouldn't make sense if they turned and looked and was like, oh shit, look at this footwork they're doing. You know what I mean? Right. Or like, oh, look at my great granddaughter twerking. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't, like they had to. So they would say, damn Ryan, we want to see. So we would let them look at the monitor for playback. And they were watching rehearsals. But the catch was because Remick and his vampires were in between the veil of life and death. They could actually watch the dancers. You know what I mean? They could actually see what's going on. So Remick is the only character in Joan and Bert. They're the only characters who are actually seeing what the audience is seeing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was real fun to play that. Right.
By the way, Jack O'Connell's so good.
Man,
The casting, there's such great casting in this movie.
yeah, it's
Actors I've seen before in other things, and I'm looking like, who is that guy? Oh wait, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
Jack O'Connell. I've never seen him play a part like that.
yeah, he's great, man. Francine Masler,
Yeah.
cast the movie. She's incredible. And yeah, no, Jack, man, he's working all the time, man, and
But in a weird way, his character, I mean, and what they're offering, the vampires are offering, is, you know, not so. It seems like it's very tempting in a way. And I mean, is that? And you know, I'm just thinking of this, like watching this movie as a white person, not thinking about like, you know, I was watching a couple of critics talking about the movie, and that this idea of appropriation, of right, cultural appropriation. In a way, though, it feels to me like when watching it again, there's like, okay, they're saying like, here, come over here, and you can be accepted. And but the reality is, for these people, is like, you know, that they also have to die, but you know, but you can get away from Jim Crow and this and to me that it's like that's such a, you know, such a very it's like something I didn't get really the first time I watched it, you know. And I wondered, when you were making the movie, I'm sure you're thinking about all these themes. Are you thinking, I'm going to make a popular entertainment and I'm going to put these ideas into it? And how much are you thinking about that when you're making it?
I could talk to you forever, bro. Nah,
But to me, that's what's so great about this movie, is it does that on so many different levels.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going, did he think about that first, or did he think about this first?
I'm about to get like real nerdy. Oh yeah, with the nerdy shit.
Come on, let's nerd out.
Oh, y'all don't clap yet, because this shit is it's about to get extra nerdy. It's about to get like pocket protector. Get slammed in the locker nerdy. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these young folks probably don't know what lockers are. But so over the pandemic, like everybody, I started baking. But unlike everybody, I never stopped. So I'm still baking all the time. And one of the first things
What are you baking?
I make sourdough mostly, but I also like any baked good. So like a jackass, the first thing I tried to learn how to do was make a croissant. And I quickly discovered it's like a 3-day process, and it's like really fucking complicated. You know what I mean? Like you gotta constantly.
I don't, but please tell me, because I had never tried to make.
It's like a lot of measuring and
I can't imagine.
And a lot of, you gotta like, and the butter gotta be a certain quality. It's gotta be kept at a certain temperature, or else you'll fuck it up. But for my whole entire life, I just thought a croissant was like some easy shit you go grab at the donut shop. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, yo, croissant with the, you know what I'm saying, with whatever, give me that. Boom, I slam it. I don't even think about like how many layers is in it when you bite into it. I never thought about the flakes and how much work and science it takes. You know what I'm saying? I just know croissants taste good. You know what I mean? So for me, I was thinking about this movie like a croissant. Like some people like they bake, they gonna cut the croissant open, they gonna count how many layers are in it, they gonna taste the quality of the butter and all of that shit. And that's cool for some people, you feel me? Like most people just want to eat I just want something quick for breakfast. You know what I mean? And what I was trying to do was make a movie that worked for everybody who was hungry, and for people who like to break down the layers and really dig into it. It's there for them. You know what I mean? It would discover like a lot of folding and good quality ingredients. You know what I'm saying? But for people who just was like, fuck it, I just want a croissant. You know what I mean? Like it's there for them too. You know what I mean? And they'll be happy if that makes sense. Yeah, but like what was like I thought about all of it, man, and like the thing is that's so crazy about like and I know this from your movies, bro. We ain't never sat and talked, you know what I'm saying? I know from watching your mom and dad on screen and knowing a little bit about your life, you white, but you also Jewish. You know what I'm saying? And for a long time,
Wait, what?
yeah, but for a long time, them two things wasn't synonymous. You know what I mean? Like you know, it was a time when so a big part of the character Remick being Irish was really about that. Like him being, you know, hundreds of years old, he had like a different point of view on everything. You know what I mean? And the crazy part about like the racial politics in this country is sometimes people are allowed to cut deals. You know what I'm saying? Like I can become something else. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta leave. A part of the deal is maybe I gotta leave certain parts of myself behind. You know what I mean? Maybe I gotta go to Ellis Island and change my name. You know what I'm saying? Like now I'm no longer this. I'm this now. Or maybe I have to hide the fact that you know I do things differently. You know what I mean? And to become this other thing. So for me, as a black person, you know what I'm saying, I know a lot about that. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain deals that ain't afforded to us. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like, oh, I can tell this movie, and any human being can understand it, because everybody knows what that's like to have to give up something that's like very important to yourself. Man, I lost time with my uncle, bro. I wasn't there when my uncle died because I wanted to be a filmmaker. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sitting here talking to Ben Stiller about my movie, right. But like, yeah, part of me is like, fuck, man, I should have been there. You know what I'm saying? And if I, you know what I mean?
And is that a big part of what this movie is for you?
That's really all it was for me. You know, that's really all it was. Yeah, man. And like what was cool about directing it was like every department head, every actor, like the head of Warner Brothers is, where's Pam? You still here, Pam? Yeah, the head of Warner Brothers is here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Pam Abdi.
Everybody who worked on the movie understood it. You know what I'm saying? Like and they put bits of themselves into it. You know what I mean? Like we would have conversations. I had conversations with every person on this movie about a family member that they had lost. You know what I mean? It was very strange.
But that comes through so much in the movie. That personal, that emotion. And that's what to me is so amazing about this movie is that it's operating on all these different levels, and it's there's so few filmmakers who can do that. I think there are filmmakers who can do popular entertainment, and there are filmmakers who can make small personal films, but to make something that has both in it and also is a genre film and also is not a genre film, it's, you know, there's a lot of different things going on in it. So it's really special. I don't know much longer I can keep talking, but I'm curious about the just a couple of technical.
I'll do this with you all night, bro.
Okay,
I live in Oakland, bro.
Well, you did this.
I'm here.
You did this. You released this amazing video. I saw on X or Twitter or whatever, that was you breaking down the formats you shot this movie in. And could you just talk a little bit about what that is, the different formats, and why you did it?
Yeah. So we were very fortunate with this movie. Big shouts out to Warner Brothers again. I thought this movie was gonna be super 16, like a grindhouse movie, like burn negatives. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing. That was how I saw it. I bought a super 16 camera, like I was going all in. And then one day, Jesse Ehrman, what's Jesse's title, Pam? President of Production, who works closely with Pam and Mike. And he called and said, "Hey, are you giving any thought to large format?" And like, as soon as he said it, I was like, "Oh shit," because I had just seen Oppenheimer, and I love shooting film. I was like really happy to be back on film, and Warner Brothers was so generous to do that. My producer Seb Ohanian worked on Fruitville with me. We shot that Super 16, and I hadn't done film since then. So I was like so fired up, and I hit up my cinematographer, Autumn Arkapaw, and said, "Hey,
it's what a beautifully shot, beautiful looking movie."
So she's a billion times the nerd I am about motion picture photography. So I was like, "Yo, large format." So she like does a deep dive and sends me an email about all the different things that we can do. And one of them was Ultra Panavision 276 format, which was invented at a time when all of the film technology was geared towards getting people to leave the television screen, because television had took over. You know what I mean? And they were trying to find ways to get people back into the theater. So aspect ratio started to get wider. Film format started. It was more experimentation about capturing more epic photography, which ended up giving us, the anamorphic looks, the CinemaScope, VistaVision, all these different technologies. One of them was the Ultra Panavision technology, which is the widest ratio that's ever been like commercially available in a theatrical experience. 2.76:1 aspect ratio. Hateful Eight was the most recent film shot with these systems. And then the other one was the IMAX 15 perf camera, and we were so excited about the ability to just test these things, and Warner Brothers was so generous. They greenlit a test kind of like right away. We went out to Lancaster because we needed a flat horizon because the Delta is very flat. And as soon as we turned those cameras on and got the footage back, we knew that those two formats would be the ones for us. From there, we made the movie. We embraced all of the complications of it, which we could talk about. But like down the road, when we were finishing it up, and Warner Brothers so kindly agreed to let us do film prints. I realized that we were doing something historic, but people didn't know. You know what I mean? And the Kodak video was born out of that realization that, maybe we got to tell people. You know what I mean? Like what's going to be available to them when the movie comes out. So yeah, I was really excited about it. And I didn't think a lot of people would watch it. I was really doing it for the nerds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people who would be interested in that, I had no idea it would be as viewed as it ended up being.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I think in this day and age of digital, for me, my generation grew up on movies, on film, and I love film. And to see, younger filmmakers embracing that, and for you to really like embrace that, and as what you can, the movie going experience can be so enhanced by it, and really that you really embrace that. I'm curious also, like, what was the choice for which sequences were what?
Yeah, that was so fun, because now all of a sudden you have another tool, right? And it's like, it's not a subtle tool, like it's like fucking obvious because it's so vastly different. You know what I mean? And what I'm always looking for is like dynamic range. Like in anything, I think that's what gives you the goosebumps feeling. Like it's usually like a musical term or a photographic term. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking to this is a DJ. Y'all know what dynamic range is? Who don't know what dynamic range is? A few people. Okay,
maybe me.
Okay,
tell me what it is.
Stop it, bro. It's your dynamic range is the distance between your highest high and your lowest low. So in a photographic context, your white points are at the top of your exposures, and in the blacks, the richness of the blacks will be at the bottom. So like if you do high dynamic range photography, HDR photography, it's available on your smartphones generally. You'll see like the capacity for capturing brighter brights and darker darks in the same image. In the soundscape, it's like when a song goes from very, very, very loud and busy to almost silent, and for me, this gave me another tool to play with dynamic range. You know what I mean? Like in terms of going from wide to high, and what we did was we worked with picture editor Michael Shaver to cut together different scenes shot in different formats, and we watched them back in IMAX, and we watched hard cuts from one to the other to see how it impacted us, and then we also animated the aspect ratios where we would kind of open up the curtain, and we used different versions, and what we found what happened is when you do a hard cut from wide to tall, it kind of blows you back. You know what I mean? You'll feel yourself kind of go like this. So we would use that for like when we wanted people to kind of sit back in their seats, but when we wanted people to kind of lean forward and fall forward into your seats, that's when we would do the animated expansion. So anytime we wanted people to feel like they were like diving into the movie, we did the animated expansion. So that would come with your surreal montage, for instance, or the part where the vampire siege happens when Grace invites everybody in and they getting prepared for that. You know, we open the curtain there, but there's a lot of times where we do straight hard cuts. You know, to kind of overwhelm the audience in a different capacity. You know what I mean? And it became another tool for us. And we went through the script, you know, with our AD and with Autumn. Marvin Williams was our first assistant director on the movie. But we worked and we said, hey, this scene right here, what do we want the audience to feel? What are we thinking here? You know, and we kind of broke it down like that.
And so you had to make those choices ahead of time, right?
Yeah, to capture
to a certain extent.
Yeah, you gotta, like, on the set, you gotta capture with one format. So
you're switching cameras.
We're switching cameras. Mm-hmm.
Right.
We always had both bodies with us, you know.
Is that thing about the this is going to something totally different. The vampires having to be invited in. Did you came up with that?
No, that's an old vampire.
That's
rule.
an old vampire.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite.
You shouldn't have told me. I thought that.
No. One of my favorite.
So good.
One of my favorite vampire movies is actually called Let the Right One In.
Oh, Let the Right One In. Right.
Yeah, and it's all based off that concept. But it's an old rule.
I knew that. I just forgot.
Oh, it's all good.
No, but anyway. That sequence at the end when she finally, I love that she's the one who invites them in too.
Grace.
Yeah.
Grace
is because she's kind of like saying like, man up, this is time.
Yeah. I love that character.
Man, this is it's so great. You're just a great filmmaker who's made something very special, very important movie, I think, for so many different reasons. But just for movies, to make an original movie, put it out, have it connect with people. An original movie that's not trying to pander. It's actually original and personal, and also incredibly entertaining. I don't want to go over the top and say you saved movies this summer, but you really contributed, and it's really exciting that there's a filmmaker like you is out there doing what you're doing. I just want to say I really appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. I gotta say thank you to you for so many core memories, bro. Like so many, and to your family, bro.
Thanks,
like,
man.
It's an honor to be up here with you, man.
No, I'm inspired by your work. So many people are inspired by it, and all the best, man. Congrats, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, man.